Hello and welcome to Markiron Shipyard, episode 21. I know this is not anywhere near my shipyard, but I was building this and I just thought it was so cool, I had to quickly interject a quick little spotlight. This is a frame quarry. It's a neat little guy. Two separate parts here, actually. There's a frame engine and a frame quarry. So the quarry arm is actually totally separate. Sends everything via ender chest to a little receiver over there, which converts it all to, I think at this point it's diamond or gold or something. It's mainly red power. So I got red power, solar arrays, frames, frame engines, block breakers, and yeah, so the actual design of this frame engine, and I'll just show you this guy here, which is a frame engine not attached to anything. It's actually a design I got from searching on YouTube. The channel is Team Pants Madness, all one word, and apparently the design is a collaborative effort between Sailor Donovan and Grey Chapel. They call this a EG Drive Mark 6. So kudos to you guys on coming up with this and designing it and making a nice little video, making it easy to learn how to build these things. Of course, I've gone and added some of my touches, a little bit of gray cover styling, and a little bit, well, let me turn on the lights here. As you can see, I've color-coded my machines. So this is the red one, so I know that's Unit 1. Unit 2 is in a different place, you'll see later. And Unit 3 is green. Now I've got this fourth unit here that is gray. I decided I wanted a little extra kick to it, so I set up a way to automatically build these things. So Unit 4 here is fresh off the production line. And I'm actually just going to show you real quick. I've got my setup here. So I've got a builder from Buildcraft with my blueprint in it. I've got a handy dandy little electrical engine to power that. My favorite setup ever. There's a plus, what is it? 3 upgrades, 2 bronze tubes, and 1 tin. And that gives, I think it's 15. The total output is 15 Minecraft joules per tick, which is exactly what a quarry is looking for Minecraft. So one engine with one of those upgrades exactly powers one quarry to the maximum it can handle. Seriously, when I build quarries with these things, they move like lightning. And now, normally I would have that with a home run back to my nuclear reactor, usually some glass fiber cabling. In this case, this is one of my play worlds. So I've just hooked up a high voltage solar array and directly into an MFSU. Overkill? Perhaps. Effective? You can't deny that. Anyways, I've just got some glass pipe, but it could be anything, and some logistics pipes. Up here is the very special builder supply pipe. So when I connect that, as you can see, it's taking items from all these chests to give the builder everything it needs to build. So now when I fire this, it spins up and starts placing. Now, as you can see with the recipe, see, look at how fast that thing goes. All the boxes are charged by default. So, oh yes, sometimes it likes to place the solar panels in the wrong order. So it places the solar panels and then the frames. If it does that, the frames will just, or the solar panels will just fall off, and you'll just have to manually reattach them. not too terribly difficult a task, but I haven't found a way to force it to say, hey, no, wait, do this first, then build this. Maybe there's a way. If there is, and you know it, leave a message in the comment. And if I'm right, maybe also leave a message, just so I know that I am indeed correct. The other thing I've noticed is it is a little glitchy when placing redstone. Sometimes it will place the red wire properly, and sometimes it won't. If it doesn't, no big deal. It's just a little bit of wiring. I, by default, do not give them wireless units. Once again, it usually will not place them properly. So I find it's easier just when I'm building them to add in a little bit of red wire myself and put levers in. Because with levers, I can manually force it to move wherever I need it to. So let's make this thing move. Up one. There we go. And once again, because all the batteries start charged, you can move this thing right away. Even though I build them on these little, I liken it to like an inductive charging pad of some variety, where basically you just set the item down and it charges. Well, this, as soon as this touches down, these battery boxes connect to these battery boxes and the current flows. So anytime one of these is landed on here, it will charge. In addition to the solar arrays on top, which are constantly charging it and transferring the power throughout. Now, these charging pads have a little bit more juice behind them. But anyways, to finish off my little build here, I'm just going to sneak in under here because I want to wire this here and that so I can show you moving down. And now, one of the things I need to do is access the motor to go backwards is in here. But in order to access it, I move this up half and this down half so I can actually get right in here. I just love that, how that works. So in order to go backwards, I just toggle that and make sure not to stand in there when I toggle it. And voila, it moves backwards. Now if I want to move it forwards, same thing. And because the redstone makes a new connection when this frame motor, is it dark already? Because this redstone makes a new connection when the frame motor comes out, it counts as turning it on for that block. So the frame motor activates twice off, well, you activate 2 frame motors in sequence off of 1 redstone pulse. That becomes important later if you're programming them by a computer. So once again, with all these levers, you can think of it as the lever moves it towards you. Not necessarily as optimal, you know, if you're standing there and trying to move it, but when it's wirelessly powered and automated, you don't notice it. So now I have, let's see, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. And I could keep building these things all day and turn them out in very little amount of time. So this unit is the same thing. I've just attached here and here. What I've done is replaced, these are covers, but this guy back here, that red one, is actually a panel. So when this touches it, it hooks up. So if I switch over to control unit 1 and move it forward, the whole thing moves forward. And if I move it backwards, the whole thing moves backwards. So it moves as one. And of course, I've added a couple extra frame motors in here to give me control of the arm. So I can move the arm up or down, whoops, to harvest. Because the idea is you trigger the block breakers, move it up, trigger the block breakers again, and then you'll get every block harvested. So, what other attachments can I do? Well, let's switch over to Unit 3, and let's move him up a little bit. Rise. And of course, using wireless redstone, it is really easy to set these up for automatic control, which I will get into in a moment. So, as you can see, they do just take a little bit of effort to fly. And remember, with wireless redstone, you can do the same thing you're doing with levers, where you hold the pulse, and it will activate both motors in sequence. So one long pulse moves. So as you can see, I've got, you can tell by these little corners here that I've changed those bottom green covers to panels. And now this is another attachment I've made. So let's move back and get that lined up and move up. Whoops. And move up. The one downside with these wireless things is you get in the config menu by pressing shift. However, if for some reason you are flying and you press shift to go down while holding or while trying to use it, you end up just going into the menu again. But moving right along, well, pardon the pun, because we are actually moving. So line that up with those two little notches, move it down to drop it in. Now, I just grab a couple of frames, and bam, bam. And switch that back for the controller. And now, take off. So this is another of these wireless charging, I guess it is a wireless charging area. It's more of a contact charger. For this device and another device, which we'll get into in a little bit. But this is a nifty little carriage. Got a little bit of extra power reserves. I try and build all the accessories with extra power in them so they can supplement the main device. Should something go wrong, I can divert all the power from the accessory into the main device and recover the main device if it for some reason runs out of power, say running underground. So this is my tractor beam. It automatically will deploy frames outward, straight in front of it, bare frames, as I click. So for instance, if I wanted to retrieve a machine deep in a shaft, but I didn't want to have to maneuver a new machine all the way down, I simply build this long stream of frames, and once it connects to whatever, I just use another frequency and pull it back. Now what's actually happening here is I've got, in addition to the frame motors down there going in and out, I've got a block breaker on this side, whoops, and a deployer on this side. So what happens is the deployer, when I'm extending the tractor beam, moves it, and, well, it actually really does it at the same time. So it deploys and moves, deploys and moves. The block breaker breaks and moves back, breaks and moves back, breaks and moves back. So it will, extend out as long as I need it to, until we start approaching the limits of what the frames can handle and going across loaded/unloaded chunk boundaries, I think, depending on how far you want to get with it. And of course, if I wanted to add more frames, I could. Right now, well, there we go. I can do 64. So I can, tractor beam something 64 blocks away. Not too shabby if I do say so myself. But that is not my favorite machine. Well, actually, it is because it does a lot of things for me. This can move things laterally with one redstone pulse, whereas everything else, the actual engines, require two. So there's a little bit of loss of efficiency there. But with that, and I could even hook this mining arm up to that. Just have the tractor beam extend and hook here, and I could mine out a shaft with that. But let's find something a little more interesting. Now, you remember I said about Unit 2, right? Here it is. And here is the mother of all frame quarry. This head will mine out, I think it's 15 by 15 and change. Going forward, puts it all in here. I've just got an onboard energy condenser for now, just to knock it all down. It's got power, and it's got power reserves. All these blocks under here are reserve power. And I've even got a couple. I actually set it up so these would attach, and these are emergency reserves. All else fails, if these are completely drained and this is completely drained, I still have these that won't get used until I patch them in. So, I bet you're wondering, why would I make such a machine? It obviously costs more in resources. Well, yeah, it does, but you get a lot of resources, especially if anybody who's been keeping up with Direwolf's SMP Let's Play and has seen some of the crazy frame quarry builds there, they just start them running and they just run for thousands of blocks. And resources no longer become a problem at that point. But the cool thing is, right now, if I wanted to move this and mine with it, I'd have to do it manually. In fact, let's do a couple manual cycles to show you. So let's load Unit 2. So first thing, I need to move forward. Do I actually have control of Unit 2? Unit 2 forward. Am I actually communicating with it? There we go. Oh, I bet you I know what's wrong. Sometimes I get this little glitch where one block in the middle won't properly break. So it sometimes takes a second cycle, or I can just walk down there and break it myself. So, move forward. Cool. That puts the breaker up against the wall. Now, I am going to switch this guy. So as you can see, these are all my wireless frequencies I've named. I need dig assigned to one here. So now, dig. When I fire dig, it fires that wireless redstone receiver, which sends through this redstone tube up to all the block breakers. Now, I've got this parallel column of tubes here because as this moves back and forth, this connection in the middle will break. So when I move up, apparently that one was assigned to dig. I need this big arm up. So when I move it up, it breaks the connection all in the middle. So I need a little bit of parallel processing so that once things move over, this side only moves every couple of maneuvers. Not a big deal. That gives stuff time to flow through the tubes, because while it's moving, stuff won't flow through tubes. So, alright, so, I need to move up, and then fire break again. As you can see, it breaks quite nicely. And then I can move down. and forward. And break, and up, and break, and forward. And break, and down, and break, and up. Oh, nope, that is just an illusion. And forward. So, as you can see, I could mine like that. That's, when you think about it, how many blocks you're breaking at once, it's probably faster than using a pick. But if you really want to mine faster than that, you can do that with equivalent exchange tools. Now, the big advantage here would be if we had some magical way to automate this. How could we automate wireless redstone? Well, if we had a bunch of transmitters, we could hook up bundled cable like this and create some sort of control matrix. Okay. So, we put the transmitters here. We can change the transmitter frequencies as we need to. So, I can change this to arm down. As you can see, the little number on the side changes back and forth. So that's arm up. I could assign this to any one of the machines. So right now it's on unit 2. I could assign it unit 3, unit 1, any unit that I've created wireless setups for. So what if we ran this into a computer craft computer? Now, I've got a little program here called mining. It's currently in testing, so I'm forcing it to run through Lua. When I'm finished it will be a little more fleshed out, and you'll be able to run it right from the prompt. Just specify, either a move or dig, move or dig, direction, and distance. But for now, it's easier if I just do it directly from the Lua interface. That way I can call things as I want to call them. So in this case, I'm set up with unit 2. So let's dig forward 20. Bam. So the computer locks up because it's working. As you can see, it's firing redstone. And if we go down here, just a couple little lag spikes when this big frame giant moves. But as you can see, I am eating through blocks. Now when I do have one of the glitches where I end up with one block left, the only way it can correct it really is it just does another cycle for that one block. A little inefficient, yes, but I have no way of... I haven't come up with a way to test if I can check to see if there's a block, or if this carriage hasn't moved, then repeat the cycle again of up and down. Now it's not moving, so I probably have something stuck in here. Yeah, I do. Bam. Almost got crushed. I do that all the time, where I get in there and I'll just break that block, help it out. And then I remember, oh yeah, it can crush me. Yeah, I've noticed it with lag, it does seem to misbehave more. I've been crushed. Now, granted, I'm on creative mode, so I don't cry as much when I get crushed, but I think I might have a faulty block breaker. Let's watch. Oh, gravel is annoying because same thing is it falls, so it can fall into one of these gaps, or it can force just one block breaker to have to take care of the entire stack. So let's jump out of there. This design is another add-on to an add-on. This is a couple of extension wings I built for my Unit 1 frame quarry, and it just basically extends out the sides. So instead of just mining a little was it 5x6, it mines a lot wider. It doesn't change the height, but as you can see, mine's pretty nice. Not that you can actually see in that dark corner. But yeah, as you can see, my chest is filling up. Just a little bit of testing and I managed to get 28 diamonds. Now granted, that's pushing across here and pushing across here as well. I actually built this unit all the way over here. As you can see, I was originally going to make it a cube and do all sides, but I was having trouble troubleshooting it because I'd build one little thing and if it was off, the whole thing wouldn't move and I couldn't tell which piece was fouling it up. So I made do and just took the front of it. Eventually I might make one that would be, frame or quarry arms on all sides. So I could move it any direction in quarry. And then put one on the bottom too and have a giant quarry that can move and mine in any direction. I'm not saying I stole that idea from Direwolf 20, but borrowed might be a good idea. Now granted, his is probably a little more efficient because he has been building with frames longer and is much better at building with frames than I am. Once again, I had to borrow the frame quarry design, and as you can see, frame designs that I come up with myself are not as efficient. There's a few extra pieces here and there. But anyways, sorry for not getting anything done on board today. I've having to shift a couple of pre-recorded episodes down, but I just thought this was too cool to pass up, and I wasn't really sure how I wanted to handle it, so I figured, hey, this can be episode 21. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you next time.